Hi guys, Materim here again with another battle report. This week, my normal weekly Dungeons & Dragons game was canceled, so I got one of my players over to just throw down a regular old battle. And we're going to look at his dwarves facing my new empire in a 2250 point battle line scenario. Okay, and here's what our board looks like. The only two things that really came into play were the hill that the dwarves are on in the back there is actually an anvil of vault, which is one that gives you flaming attacks and magical attacks if you're within 6 inches of it. Uh, and that little white square south of the house is a sorceress portal, and that comes into huge late in the game. This is my deployment. Now, I put the river here. I was the one that placed that, hoping to make use of it, but then I was stupid and just bricked up. So we're only playing on about half the board, which gives a huge advantage to the dwarves because they're just not going to prevent any flanks or anything that I can deal with. They're just going to come at me as one big freaking brick. Okay, so we'll get started with the dwarven deployment. You can see on the left side of the river here is a single gyrocopter. On the right side is a unit of 20 longbeards with great weapons. And with that unit is a runesmith with the rune of spellbreaking and a great weapon. The unit in the back is actually just a continuation of one of his frontline units here, but it was balanced such that it couldn't actually fit on the Anvil of Vol. So he just put his first line there so we know where it starts. And sorry for the blurry picture here, but my camera was doing some jacked up stuff all game, refusing to focus and whatnot. So continuing on, he has a unit of 20 Iron Drakes with a full command, and his champion has the Trollhammer Torpedo and Cinder Blast bombs. Next to that is a unit of 20 Hammerers with full command and the Master Rune of Groth One Eye. He also has his Dwarf Lord on Shield Bearers there with 3 Runes of Fury and 1 Rune of Warding. And his Thane, who is his BSB, with a Master Rune of Grunky and a Great Weapon. Next to that is another 20 Longbeards with shields. And in the back on top of the hill, he has a cannon with the Rune of Forging. And I believe that's it there. Yeah, that's all those units. Then, on his far end, he has a single gyro bomber. Okay, Empire deployment, starting with my left flank. I have the Steam Tank. Behind that, I have the Hellstorm Rocket Battery. And these 2 other units are detachments, which I'll talk about on the next slide. Alright, so in the front line, I have a unit of 10 archers. With them is Magister Conrad Brown, my level 4 battle wizard to the Lore of Life. He has Earthing Rod, Talisman of Preservation, and that's it. On either side of that are 2 5-man detachments of archers. In the back, I have a unit of 30 halberdiers with full command. With them is my general Heinrich von Grunberg, an Archlector with the armor of meteoric iron and a dawnstone, and Captain Derek Hostberg, my captain of the Empire, who is my BSB, and he has the Dragon Helm and a Talisman of Endurance, so he's at a 2-up, 5-up. On the left side of that is a detachment of 15 spearmen, and on the right of that is a detachment of 15 swordsmen. And in the back is my Altar of Moor, which serves as a celestial hurricanum for this army. Here I have a unit of 10 handgunners. Behind that is an Empire Great Cannon. And holding down my right flank is a unit of 3 Demigryph Knights. And before the game, we get a vanguarding gyrocopter, which lands at the edge of the river and finds out that that's a river of light, so he gets Foz protection cast on him before the game starts, which is just awesome. And in a show of how luck is going to go for both of us this game, I lose the turn to go first. And first action that the dwarf player does is he flies his gyro bomber over my spearman, tries to do the bombing run on it, misfires and inflicts a wound on his gyrocopter. And then, like a single bearded monstrosity, the entire dwarf line comes up, and the gyro bomber flies up in front of the lines to lead the way. Um, he didn't have magic, obviously, so we go into shooting. He doesn't hit anything with the Iron Drakes. He falls short of hitting my cannon with his cannon. Um, and it just, I mean, nothing got done first turn other than him moving a little bit, so that's where he stands. So we go to Empire turn 1, and I attempt to generate 3 steam points with the steam tank. Misfire, but luckily I rolled a fairly minor one, and he only lost 1 of the 3 steam points I had attempted to generate. And again, sorry for the blurry pictures, but what I did is I moved that 10-man unit of archers with the caster back through the gap in my lines to go after the gyrocopter, leaving me 2 5-man chaff units of archers up front. And then my line just kind of advanced a little bit in general. And here's where you can see where they ended up. And I was stupid here because I got distracted in the middle of doing this move and didn't actually complete the facing so that they could see the gyrocopter. So basically they're back there being a glorified bunker and giving the gyrocopter more time to run amok behind my lines, so I was feeling kind of dumb there. And then on this side, obviously the handgunners don't move because they want to be able to shoot. And the Demigryph Knights, I basically moved them as far over to the side as I could. My original intention was to sneak up through that gap and hit that Longbeard unit in the side. And I felt fairly confident about being able to do that. So, during my shooting, my 2 5-man archer detachments actually went apeshit on this gyro bomber and put 2 wounds on him, which I thought was amazing and probably a violation of what should have happened. Because I mean, I was hitting on 5s, wounding on 6s, and then he had a 4-up armor save and just botched 2 of them, but I just couldn't quite seal the deal there. The steam tank ended up peeling off 2 of the Longbeards on this side. And then my cannon managed to hit his cannon, but I failed to wound. So we go into... Oh, and the Hellstorm rocket battery scattered off and didn't do anything. So we go into dwarf movement. Obviously no charges. And so he positions his gyrocopter here to just wreck face on my halberdier unit. I also wanted to take a minute just to look at that altar of Moor I made. I'm very proud of that. It looks good to me. So yeah, I don't know what I was doing, but I just didn't think at the time how bad that strength 3 armor piercing breath weapon is going to be to that relatively soft unit of halberdiers there, and he's definitely going to make me pay for that. And then his gyro bomber flies over my swordsman and tries to drop a bomb and misfires. Centers the template on himself, but it scatters off. So I had the opportunity to get him wounded, but no such luck. And for his movement, you see he moves the Iron Drakes just slightly, tilting them so that they can see the Demigryphs. And then he moves up the leftmost unit of Longbeards to cover the flank that he's providing. So still very little movement. We're kind of in a Mexican standoff right now as he wants me to come to him. I'm not really confident in my units, so I'm not really wanting to overextend myself, so we're just kind of staring at each other and doing some shooting. And here's what I mean. He breathed steam fire into the back of the halberdiers and peeled off, looks like 6 of them. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, and unfortunately it's going to take me a while to be able to deal with it, and I'm going to lose way more out of that unit than I can really afford to. So after a second time of his cannon and iron drakes failing to hit anything, we go to my turn. I generated 3 steam points for the steam tank and moved them as you can see. I didn't declare any charges this turn either. And it doesn't look like I moved much here, but what I actually did is I moved the detachments up to kind of tempt him to shoot and or to charge me. And then I turned them to face backwards, hoping to throw some shots at the gyro bomber and the gyrocopter that are behind my lines. Forgetting, of course, that I'm taking hard cover penalties from shooting through my own guys, and it was a dumb idea, but that's what I was thinking at the time. And over here, I moved my line up a little bit, and then I turned the Celestia Huracanum sideways so that I could make sure I'm covering all 3 of those units, and providing him a little bit less of a target with his cannon in case he decides to stop firing at my war machines and go after it instead, because I really think it's kind of the center point of my army at this point. And then here I actually turn to be able to get line of sight on either gyrocopter, hoping that 10 archers will be able to at least finish one of them off. And my wizard's still there, and I haven't really talked much about what magic has done, because while he hasn't been stopping me as I cast the spells, I didn't really get a great selection of spells, and it was like Throne of Vines, Shield of Thorns, and he's been throwing those off on his turn because he doesn't have anything else to cast. Now, here is where I make one of my, I think, a blunder. Because I haven't been able to shoot his cannon and he hasn't been able to shoot mine, I want it dead before it can start doing some hurt. So rather than doing what I originally planned, which was putting these demigryphs into the side of the Longbeards, I move them around so next turn they'll charge the cannon. And ultimately I think that proves to be a mistake. Over here the steam tank ends up peeling off 3 more of the Longbeards off of this unit, which is not bad. I'm not going to outshoot the dwarves, I don't think. And this being such a static battle, I'm having a hard time getting a hold of how to attack this big line of bearded freaks. And then I roll D3 for the number of rockets, set it right down in the center, and misfire and blow up the Hellstorm rocket battery. So, yeah, first time playing with it. I painted it up. I love the way it looks. I just didn't get it to do anything. I think in the future I really need to put an engineer with it so I can reroll that misfire if it comes down to that. So we go to dwarf turn 3. And I misfired with my cannon trying to grape shot his gyro bomber, so it can't fire this turn or next turn. So the dwarves, the Longbeards, try to charge the one archer detachment who flees, makes it back through my lines to safety. The hammer unit tries to charge the other, they flee, make it back through my lines to safety. And this is kind of what I wanted, because now his lines are a little broken up. I should be able to grab hold of those Longbeards with the steam tank and eventually grind them to nothing. And it gives me a chance to kind of handle things one at a time instead of trying to deal with that whole line at one time, which I think would be a huge point of difficulty. So then he flies his gyro bomber here, which misfires again, and but fails to do a wound to him. I don't remember what result it had, but I think it might have been another one where it started on him and scattered somewhere, but it didn't accomplish anything. And then he moves up the gyrocopter so that it's can roast some more halberdiers and my Celestial Huracanum. Yeah, last turn I just completely failed to do any wounds to either of them with the archers, which, looking back on it, was probably what should have happened, but I really need to find a way to get these things dead now. And I'm just not going to be able to do it. And they're going to do much pain to the back of my head. And speaking of pain to the back of my head, he ends up taking off another rank and one, so another 8 guys with the steam gun from the gyrocopter at this point. So we go into Empire turn 3. He ends up doing a single wound to my Hurricanum with the cannon, so it needs to die. So I charge it with the Demigryphs, and in my joy of finally being able to take some points, I forget one very important thing that will be coming up in about 2 rounds, and that very important thing is that this hill is an Anvil of Vol. So please keep that in the back of your mind as the story progresses from here on out, because it will be a very important key. Over here, my 2 archer detachments rally, and everything else moves up. And you'll notice for the first time I've moved the halberdiers up ahead of everything else because I'm trying to set up a double countercharge. Knowing that I didn't want to join the steam tank in that unit of halberdiers, I know the hammerers are coming in. So I want the hammerers to hit the halberdiers and then get flanked on either side by the spearmen and the swordsmen with the countercharge. My shooting was garbage, my magic was garbage, and so we go into combat, and obviously the Demigryphs just crush face on this cannon because it's a cannon. Even Dwarven cannon crews are not going to stand up to a sick amount of Demigryph beatdown. So this was my moral victory. And over here, the impact hits from the steam tank ended up doing a lot. He's still stubborn because he's got that radius 12-inch stubborn thing, even if he wasn't steadfast. So either way, I ground out a lot of them, and I realize I'm just going to have to kill this unit to a man with the steam tank. So I'm pretty much prepared to spend all game just running dwarves over with a tank, which sounds fun to me. So we go into dwarf turn 4, and the hammers do exactly what I wanted them to do. Declare to charge into the halberdiers, goes in. The other longbeards declare to charge into the swordsman, and I didn't quite realize how bad this was going to be until we resolved it, and the trap closed, and I realized I was presenting the ass end of the swordsman to the dwarves. And I'm not entirely even sure if this is how that was supposed to go, or whether he needs to move all of his charges before the counter charge goes off. If anybody knows, please put that in the comments, because I'm still learning how to play Empire. But yeah, this turned from like a pretty good, me being very happy combat to, holy crap, dwarves up the butt. And then he moves his gyrocopter here, and in shooting, liquefies the whole 10-man archer bunker my level 4 was hiding in, and the level 4 breaks and runs off the board. So, yeah, that fucking gyrocopter that I didn't handle just took off my level 4, right when I need him to be able to provide magical support. Awesome. So, here we go, this big fight. Great thing is his Dwarf Lord calls a challenge, and Felix Weishoff, my level 2 Mage of Light, steps up with Van Horseman's Speculum, and ends up doing 2 wounds to the Dwarf Lord and only taking 1 of his own. But as you can see, just massive amounts of damage on both sides. It's a bloody fight. I think I've got 5 swordsmen left, 5 halberdiers, but I end up reducing the hammer unit by like half. I think I still lose by 1 or 2, but I ended up succeeding every break check. I stick, so I'm definitely looking forward to the next round combat where I can actually get some buffs from the warrior or the archlector, and maybe turn this into something. And so we go into Empire turn 4, and here is where my stupidity is revealed in full. The Demigryph Knights charge into the Iron Drakes. They stand and shoot and don't do anything. Now, to be honest, I don't even recognize how stupid this was until combat of this turn. But because the Demigryphs are so long, the back end of them has them within 6 inches of the Anvil of Vol. So their attacks are all fiery, magical attacks. And being that it's fire, the Iron Drakes get a +2 ward save to everything I'm about to throw at them. So this is probably the single worst match I could have picked for my demigriffs, and I just misused them the entire game, and this is just the piece de resistance of that. Um, so to help try and cancel out some of the static combat res he has, I charge my handgunners, who really haven't done anything this game, into the back of the dwarf warriors, or the iron, or the longbeards. Sorry, hoping that I might be able to do a wound. And if any of them are still alive, which he won't be able to kill enough to kill the unit, I'll get that bonus. And then here, I just move to surround his gyro bomber and hopefully keep shooting it, because it's still sitting there on a single wound left. And, 10 shots with archers, if I can get lucky like I did the first turn and take that thing down, that would be amazing, because frankly, I'm tired of getting killed by helicopters in my back rank. Now, this plan would have been awesome, except for that stupid sorcerer's portal. Now that I moved in there, my gunners are the closest thing to it. And so during my magic phase, it fireballs them and kills 6. So now the likelihood that any of them are going to be there to give me that combat res is very small. So what I've essentially done is just served up 4 extra combat res to my opponent. And then in shooting, the cannon finally decides to do something and grape shots this gyrocopter to death. It's too little too late. This gyrocopter already way earned its points by destroying the archer unit and my level 4. Again, I think this is just one of those things I had to do for moral victory, and to make me feel a little bit better about where this is going. So over here, grind, I take 3 more iron guts, or not iron guts, I don't know why I want to keep calling these things iron guts, long beards off of this unit. But his runesmith actually manages to inflict a wound on the steam tank. So we figure in about 9 more turns he'll have removed that as a threat. And as I said, here is where my stupidity is revealed. I had no wounds done. I charged. He did no wounds, but he had 2 ranks, and our banner cancels, so he ends up winning by 1. I fail the break check, and the Iron Drakes run down my unit of demigriffs. Yeah. So, again, another bloody battle. I'm down to 1 swordsman. I think I've got 3 halberdiers left, but I managed during my magic phase to get off Light of Battle. So between Light of Battle, I got Light of Battle and the 5-up ward save from the Warrior Priest. Even though I lost, nobody was going anywhere because it was a bubbled Light of Battle, and I took off 5 more dwarves. So here is, okay, so I guess I jumped straight to dwarf turn 5. He didn't move anything really, so we go straight into combat. He manages to kill in this combat my level 2, my BSB, all but the champion out of the halberdier unit, the last of the swordsmen, and I took off 1 dude. But I still managed to hold with everything. Leadership is awesome. And succeeding leadership roles is even better. So now 1 of that unit is out of combat, and it's still looking bad, but the fact that I'm still in it at this point makes me very happy. So we go into bottom of turn 5, and my Celestial Hurricanum charges into the Gyro Bomber. It only has 1 wound on it, and I'm pretty sure I can end up killing it with the impact hits. So that will let me get some more points and not move the Hurricanum out of the way from the buffs that it's giving to the combat. And my 2 archer units move over here so they can shoot through the gap in between the 2 combats and hit those longbeards that are there. Not really going to do anything, but I thought it was fun. And over here you can see that I actually generated 5 steam points this turn for the steam tank, and managed to do so without misfiring. And last turn, the Runesmith did one more and they reformed to face me. So we go into combat because my magic is all I get is the 5-up ward save from the Archlector again. And as predicted, I do kill the Gyro Bomber with the impact hits. So that made me very happy. Once that happens, I reform to face the combat again, hoping maybe to come in with some impact hits on turn 6 and swing the battle. Combat over here, between the grinds and the breath weapon, I just grind the unit down to nothing and kill the Runesmith. So I feel very happy about that. That's another big hunk of points that I grabbed. So over here, the dwarves kill the last halberdier, and for the last turn or so, I've just been rolling an obscene amount of ones, and have been just failing to do anything. But they don't kill my general, and they only inflict a single wound, maybe 2, on the spearman unit. Which is fine. Spearman unit actually stays in combat, but my general runs off. So he goes to hang out with those archer guys. But because the spearmen still stay, I don't have to worry about them chasing him down. So, dwarf turn 6. After he won last combat, he reformed to face my spearmen since he wasn't engaged on 2 sides anymore. And basically moves his longbeards here. Now, I see what he's done, and this makes me super happy. He's given me an ability to get the steam tank in on the corner and the Hurricanum in the back. So I'm figuring if I've got a chance, this is my Hail Mary pass, which he ends up not doing any further wounds on his turn to my spearman, which was freaking amazing. So, bottom of turn 6, I bring in the steam tank on a full grind of steam, so I generated 5 more steam points, Hurricanum in the back, and I'm just going to wreck face on this unit as much as I possibly can. And I do. Between the impact, I take the Dwarf Lord. I think does 2 wounds to the spearman, but between everything else, I delete the unit, kill the Dwarf Lord with the impact hits. So all that's left there, because he didn't have more than 5 rank and files, so we had to just distribute him evenly. So Dwarf Lord got killed. All that was left was his BSB, which was no longer stubborn, and he broke and died. So after 6 turns, this is where we stand. The Hail Mary at the end by the steam tank succeeded. And you can see my general actually rallied on that last turn as well. So this is what the whole board looks like. He's still got a unit of Longbeards and a unit of Iron Drakes on the board. So we've definitely got to go to points to figure out how this one turned out. And as you can see, it ended up in a tie, about 80 points in the Empire's favor. I don't think these numbers are exactly right, but it was about 80 points in my favor. So, absolutely amazing game. We both had a great time. I wish there wasn't so much misfiring going on. It would have been nice to actually see what the Hell Blast or the Hellstorm rocket battery can do now that I got her painted up. But I was worried. I mean, I thought the dwarves were going to come in and raffle stomp me. But being able to use the detachments in on those flanks can really help. That's a lot of static combat res that can come in and really hit it where you need it. But all in all, it's a good list. I'm actually going to be using a very, very similar list to this in the next narrative battle report I have on Tuesday. So I got a little bit of chance to practice with it and see what it's willing to do. MVP was definitely the steam tank, so he was awesome. LVP was the demigriffs. I just did not use them well and then ran them to their deaths, so that sucked. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this unexpected battle report. I know I enjoyed playing it. So if you guys like what you saw, please subscribe to the channel and like or comment on the video below. Particularly if you know about the order for the Empire detachment charge thing, because that's something I'm still a little unsure about. But Definitely had a good time, and we will catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.